I just wanted to let everybody know that everything turned out okay and my holiday's back on. We filled in that hole, at least the deepest part, and she can enjoy the mosquitoes maybe swarming around her head and in her house right there, that little duck pond. That needs to get filled in drastically. It really has dropped. We have a lot of erosion. As I was saying, we have this new weather patterns and really pounding storms. It's over here, the sewers are backing up because these pump stations they put in around this area. It's like they put in third world countries. Everybody's basement's flooded with sewage. It actually blew the top right out of there. That's what it's like living in this area. They put third world equipment in a first world country. And I'll tell you, I talked to an engineer that does the sewer stuff because he was the guy that came up with the solution. They're using smaller pumps and everything. They're not designed to handle the volume of water like flows in this country. But getting back to the police, I calmed down a little bit, and I wanted to recollect my days. In Dallas-Fort Worth, they were having new times. The new super cop was being born on television, and they were teaching cops that you don't have to be a nice guy. I had an older cop pull me aside in my training, and he says to me, he says, that's not necessarily true. He says, because you don't want to be out on a road somewhere alone and think you're God Almighty himself because you got that gun on your hip. I'm going to try to put this on my tripod so I can talk in my video about this personality deficit. This officer came here yesterday, that officer, Basic, whatever your name is, and he was looking for trouble. You could see it. You can see a person when they have a mental derangement because his eyes were dead still and mean and focused. He was going to get me. So I said, you have a warrant. And he turned so fast he ran because he wanted me to open my mouth again and go with him so he could hammer me right near his police car. That's what his plan was. But the other cop, she had a body camera on. And that shut him down when I said, do you have a warrant? People, don't talk to cops. Especially, you don't know if that son of a bitch is deranged like this one that came here to my house. A lot of those guys back in the day, my training guy at the academy told me his name was Adam. And Adam came to me and he says, a lot of these guys come here to be police officers, he said. They have no social skills. They don't understand science, mathematics, and physics, which all apply to my world. So when you have somebody that is that limited, and then they go into a field of work where you have human contact, that law enforcement was deliberately hiring these animals, these tough guys. It was a revenue source. It's been nothing but. That's why you hire somebody like that butt fucking window licking retard Basic. Okay, because that guy was here to hurt me. I could see it in his eyes. If I wouldn't have shut him down, he would have got me. He was also hiding at a range right around the corner from my cameras coming up here around my bushes, which was another sign to me that I got to block that off to prevent that so that these guys are in front of these cameras when they come here. And that's about my video. I'm prepping. That's another thing is I don't know why they got to put these stickers all over these fenders. So don't talk to police, especially Pennsylvania. They have a problem. And like Basic was not wearing his body camera, but the girl cop that was with him was. Now the other two the other day came, the male officer was also not wearing a body camera. So that means that the females are being used and being put in these situations with these officers. And I believe they're deliberately, I mean, in my heart, I've seen they are trained to make revenue for this court system. They're not acting after the human interest. And whether they're deliberately being trained that way, I'm going to look the camera right square down the lens and I'm going to tell you, there's something amiss when you have that the mental incapacity not to realize that there's a necessary human need and there's also a physical danger to something. When you come to somebody's home and you tell them don't do that and you say, Jesus Christ, my life's in danger. I got stung late last year by a mosquito and I got so sick I was literally down for almost 3 weeks. It's not going to happen, Mr. Basic. You better go back and retire or something, because this is going out to your troop command. And I'm going to tell you, you do not have the necessary skills to be an officer. And being an animal does not qualify you to be an officer. Being an animal, acting like an animal, and having the mentality of an animal. What you are is deranged, and you need some serious mental therapy. A couple years of it, in fact. A lot of these guys, they say, I say, do you act like that around your wife and kids? Well, I'm not married. What could be a fucking reason for that, pal? Especially look at yourself in the mirror in the morning. Every day I put on my pants, I try to be a better person than I was the day before. So we're going to go after Rusty the Blazer, quarter panels on. He's getting welded in. If anybody's interested, let me see if I can get this back off of here. We're going to start on this back end tomorrow. I got enough steel plate to get going, and then I want to plate the top of this once I get it cut out nice and neatly. Quarter panel is on, and there's the rocker. I think I showed that the other day. I covered it up with some cheap paint. We're going to still sand it down. We got a couple physical elements, and I capped a lot of my welds. When a truck's broke in half this bad, you really got to pay attention to detail. Since the truck is still open, I'm not going to fill this in until we get the tailgate back on, and then I'll finish one door, we'll bolt the door back on, and then I'll put the patch in and primer it. So sorry about that, but we had a human need there, and we were threatened with physical assault by an officer. That guy's come here a couple times, by the way. If you're new to me or you're just watching this video, the trooper, there was a daughter, and there's another corporal retard that comes here. For some reason, I think at a certain point the state police need to retire those guys. Some of it might be the mental stress. I think sometimes those guys are maybe they're so wound up or keyed up that they can't control themselves properly anymore. But that's not the people that you want leading those younger troopers, that they go out there and get themselves shot or killed by somebody. And it's just that easy today. It's just that easy. There's that much social stress, and they don't do anything to cap that social stress. I have run into other police officers like this kid. I wouldn't call him a kid, he's a man. But he thinks like I did when I was a cop, but that's why he went to the Ranger service here. There are certain elements where you need to be a thinking, feeling human being and not an idiot. And especially when you have that gun on your hip, it does not make you God. Somebody like Balick, when you're talking with guys like me, a veteran, and I think that's it. They like to be able to raid your house and stuff, claim your mental or whatever, because they know you have that PTSD. Hey, I got my cards in my wallet and all my driver's license, and they know I'm disabled because they saw the paperwork already. So they know that they're going to come after me, and that means they're going to raid my house and go after everything they can steal out of it, just like happened to a few buddies of mine. Don't talk to these sons of bitches, because they're out there to trip your switches. But guys like Mr. Basic, us combat guys, especially us pilots are rare because we have special things that they've never seen before. So somebody like that window-licking retard, that Basic, okay, he'll get fucked so fast, so hard and so fast, he'll be mind-fucked for the rest of his life fooling with guys like me. That's just what happens to guys like him. He's just unaware. He's that clueless, and that's why I said he has a mental deficit, that he can't act like a normal, officer and say, look, I see you got a human need. This really isn't a police matter. If it is anything, it's civil, which it is. But I'm not going to live with mosquitoes regardless. I'll take the civil penalties, whatever they are, and that's where it is. So I'm hoping my video wasn't boring, because it was a real tense moment there where I almost got myself hurt. I controlled myself enough to the point to run that son of a bitch off, and that's all I have to say. And I'm sorry guys, I'm not the Hallmark channel. I am a good craftsman, I am a good mechanic. I still smoke myself, but I don't smoke and drink myself to death like other people do. Thank you for watching my videos, and thank you guys. I had calls last night up until 9:30, 10 o'clock, people asking if I was okay that watch my channel. I got calls from Illinois, I got calls from out in Chicago, what is that, Chicago, Montana? I didn't know there was a Chicago, Montana. I got a call from Chicago, Montana. I got a call from California, like Kevin, I know who you are, Kevin Baker. He's actually actually a race car driver. Kevin called me about 7:30. Thank you guys, and Brian called too. This guy with this truck called, another customer. That's why I said it was about 7 or 8 calls, and I had to tell everybody what happened, and fire's out. And that's why I'm making this video too. It's besides sending it out to their troop command or whatever, I just wanted to let people know they were genuinely concerned that something happened to me. And I thank you guys. That is having true friends. That is the proof. This is an educational system on YouTube, and I praise YouTube. YouTube's almost as good as God himself. You can't hide from this camera lens what people say, what people do. The camera was the best thing that was ever invented, and the cheaper they get, the better. I think citizens ought to be able to buy. We need body cameras, especially when we get in a vehicle and go somewhere and we got to encounter these retards. But YouTube, I praise you. Like I said, you're the best thing on the planet. I'll think of a better descriptor in my next video, YouTube. But YouTube, I don't hold them liberal agendas. There's people. We live in rough country out here. It's very secluded. Anything could happen. You people live in the city and you got that false sense of security. I don't live that way. Thanks, guys. Thank you for watching my videos. Kevin and all you guys that called. Chicagoland, Montana, Illinois, Damien, all of you guys. Hey, thank you. Thanks, guys.